Don't just buy a 2027 Toyota 4Runner. Here's the thing. This isn't a brand new, untested redesign. The 6th generation 4Runner actually launched in 2025. So what about the 2027 model? It's had a few years to mature. That means you're not taking a chance on something that just rolled off the production line. Toyota has had time to iron out its flaws and polish it up. Every generation of the 4Runner has had customer complaints. So the question is, how quickly has Toyota addressed those complaints? In this video, we'll break it all down, the 6th generation owner complaints and how Toyota has handled them over the generations. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get into some real complaints that 4Runner owners have about the 6th generation. First of all, 1. Turbocharged 4-cylinder engine concerns. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest shifts in the newer Toyota 4Runner. And yeah, it's got some fans feeling a little torn. The old-school V6 engine? Gone. In its place? A turbocharged 4-cylinder. Now, on paper, this thing is great. It's quieter, more fuel-efficient, and honestly, it still pulls strong. But here's the thing. Some longtime 4Runner fans just aren't feeling it. They say it doesn't have that same rugged soul the old V6 had. The sound, the feel, that raw, mechanical vibe you got behind the wheel, it's different now. So here's an analogy for you. Imagine your favorite old toolbox. It's heavy, kinda beat up, but you know every drawer, every tool, every sound it makes when you open it. Then someone hands you a sleek new toolbox, lighter, smarter, more organized. Is it better? Technically, yeah. But does it feel the same? Not really. That's what this engine change feels like to some folks. And it's a big but. If you're not towing big stuff or chasing that nostalgic truck feel, this new turbo engine might actually suit you better. It's modern. It's smoother. And hey, fewer stops at the gas station. So, can you live with it? That depends on whether you're more about the feel or the function. 2. Infotainment and tech glitches. Okay, let's talk about one of those complaints that doesn't sound major, but can drive you nuts when you're living with it. The infotainment system on the early 2025 Toyota 4Runner. Yeah, it had some bugs. We're talking random freezing, slow screen response, and those classic Bluetooth dropouts just when you're vibing to your playlist or trying to take a call. Now, Toyota did step up. By the 2026 model year, they rolled out firmware updates, and yeah, it's mostly solid now. But why did this matter so much? Let me put it this way. Imagine buying a brand new phone, and every few days it lags, the screen locks up, or it drops your calls. Even if it works most of the time, it messes with your trust. Same deal here, you're spending serious money on a new ride, and when the tech doesn't feel polished, it kinda ruins the new car magic in 2027 Toyota 4Runner. Especially today, when tech is a big part of the driving experience, from navigation to music to hands-free calls, it's not just an extra, it's expected to work. So yeah, while it's mostly fixed now, that rocky start definitely left a few early buyers feeling like beta testers. 3. Transmission learning curve. Something that should be invisible when you're driving. But in the 6th Gen Toyota 4Runner, it caught a few people off guard. The 8-speed automatic transmission. Some owners said it felt a little confused. Like, during light acceleration or when climbing hills, it wasn't always sure what gear it wanted to be in. It'd hesitate or shift at weird times. Now, Toyota did release updates that helped smooth things out, especially in later 2026 builds. But even then, don't expect it to feel buttery like a luxury SUV. So why does this matter? Here's a little story. Imagine riding a scooter with someone learning how to shift gears for the first time. They're trying their best, you're moving, but it's kinda jerky, and every time you go uphill, you're not sure if it's gonna surge or slow down. It's not terrible, but you feel every decision it makes, and that gets annoying after a while. Same vibe here. You're not losing performance. The 4Runner still gets the job done, but it doesn't always feel smooth or confident, especially if you're used to refined crossovers or high-end trucks. So yeah, if you're super sensitive to how a vehicle shifts, or just want a super polished driving experience, this might bug you. So lower your expectations a bit for the 2027 Toyota 4Runner. But if you're used to rugged rides, or you're mostly off-road, you might not care one bit. 4. Plastic interior in lower trims. Yeah, Some buyers expected a little more premium feel, maybe soft touch panels, some stitched leather here and there. Instead, what they got was, well, a lot of hard plastic. Very old-school truck vibes. So why does that matter? Let's break it down with a quick story. Walking into a hotel you booked online. The photos looked great, clean, stylish, nice lighting. But then you get there, and everything's solid, but just kinda basic. Think plastic chairs instead of plush couches. It still works, but it doesn't feel special. That's what it feels like for some buyers, especially if they're dropping serious money on a new SUV and expecting a little more polish. But, and here's the flip side. If you're buying the 2027 Toyota 4Runner for what it really is, a rugged, go-anywhere, clean-it-with-a-hose kind of SUV, then honestly, that plastic interior makes sense. It's durable, easy to wipe down, and won't cry when your dog jumps in muddy or you drop your camping gear. So yeah, it's less about whether it's bad, and more about whether it matches your expectations when experiencing the 2027 Toyota 4Runner for the first time. 5. Suspension still feels stiff on asphalt roads. Okay, here's something a lot of everyday 4Runner drivers have noticed. Even with the new suspension updates, the ride on regular asphalt roads? Still kind of stiff. We're talking about that bounce and jiggle you feel on city streets, potholes, or just uneven pavement. It's not unbearable. It's a 4Runner, after all, but compared to other modern SUVs? Yeah, it feels a little old school. So why does this matter? Well, if you're the kind of driver who's off-roading on weekends or hitting trails regularly, that stiffness is actually a good thing. But if you're like most people, using it as a daily driver, commuting, picking up groceries, or taking road trips, that rougher ride can start to get annoying. Here's a quick analogy. Sitting in a chair built for camping, rugged, foldable, super durable. Great for the outdoors. Now, try using that same chair as your office chair, 8 hours a day, every day. Yeah, suddenly, it's not so comfortable anymore, right? That's kind of what this suspension issue feels like. Built to take a beating off-road, but not exactly tuned for everyday comfort. So, just know what you're signing up for when proposing new 2027 Toyota 4Runner. If your idea of adventure is the Starbucks drive-thru and a smooth freeway cruise, you might want to test drive it first, just to be sure it fits your lifestyle. 6. Prices are soaring, but features are still lacking. We're talking over $55,000 for a TRD Pro or Limited, which, hey, is premium territory now. But here's the issue. At that price, some buyers expect things like a panoramic sunroof, adaptive cruise control, or a super upgraded interior. And the 4Runner still kind of feels like a rugged throwback in a tux. Now, why does this matter? Because people are more aware of value for money than ever. And when you're spending that much cash, you're not just buying a badge, you're expecting the experience to match. Here's a little story to break it down. You walk into a high-end burger joint, and the menu says $25 for their signature deluxe. You order it, sit down, and they bring out a decent, basic burger with no fries, no drink, and just a paper plate. It's not bad, but when you're paying top dollar, you expect a full spread. Nice plating, great service, maybe even a little wow factor. That's what's happening here. Buyers see $55,000 and they're thinking, cool, I'm getting everything the market offers. Then they sit inside and go, wait, this is it. It's not about the 4Runner being bad. It's about expectations not lining up with the price tag, especially when competitors like the Bronco or Grand Cherokee are packing in more tech and polish for the same money. So yeah, people are still loyal to Toyota, but at this 2027 4Runner price point, the value conversation gets a lot louder. 7. Uncomfortable rear seat access and ergonomics. Alright, so let's talk about something that might seem small at first, but actually matters a lot if you've got a family or just use the backseat often. The rear seat comfort and access in the 4Runner. Here's the deal. The back seat's a little too upright, and for adults or taller passengers, the legroom can feel tight. Are the complaints still on the 2027 Toyota 4Runner? So if you're planning on hauling more than just cargo back there, it's something to think about. Now, why does this really matter? Well, let's put it this way. Imagine inviting friends over to your place, and you've got this cool new couch, sleek, rugged, looks great in photos. But the moment they sit down, they're like, yo, why is this thing so upright? And where do I put my legs? Suddenly, your perfect hangout zone feels more like a waiting room at the DMV. That's the vibe here. The 4Runner's a family-sized SUV, but that second row? It doesn't always feel like it was built with comfort in mind, especially for grown-ups or longer trips. And for a lot of buyers, especially young families, that's kind of a deal breaker. You want your kids comfortable. You want grandma to get in and out easily. You want those road trips to feel chill, not like everyone's doing yoga just to get comfortable. So yeah, it's not a huge flaw, but it's one of those little things that shows up big once you start using it daily. Final thought. So here's something you really need to think about if you're considering the 2027 Toyota 4Runner. If we look at the previous generation data, Toyota's track record of fixing user complaints, it's solid, but not perfect. I'd say they respond to about 70 to 75% of the issues people bring up. That means, yep, there's still about 25 to 30% of recurring problems that just don't get fixed. So when you're looking at the 2027 Toyota 4Runner, you've got to ask yourself, what complaints from the past are still hanging around? Because chances are, some of them made it into this year's version too. And then it really comes down to this. Can you live with those issues? Are they deal breakers, or just small trade-offs for a rugged, go-anywhere SUV? At the end of the day, no car is perfect. But if you go in knowing the full story, past and present, you'll make a smarter choice and avoid any surprises down the road.